At a grand gathering in a century-old estate, the air was thick with the understated elegance of old money. Amid the quiet laughter and refined chatter, a new face, Lydia, adorned in the latest fashion, tried to blend in. Her stories of extravagant travels and recent purchases, however, stood out starkly against the backdrop of subtle glances and knowing smiles. It didn't take long for the seasoned crowd to discern she wasn't one of them. In the world of old money, wealth isn't announced, it's simply understood. This story perfectly encapsulates how old money families can identify those merely masquerading as wealthy. Let's explore the nuances that set them apart. Old money's richness is not just in their bank accounts but in their cultural heritage. It's about being brought up in an environment where art, history, and literature are as familiar as family members. These individuals can often trace their lineage through history, connecting their ancestors to significant events and movements. They have a certain ease around luxury, viewing it as a norm rather than a novelty. When someone new tries to replicate this, name-dropping artists or flaunting knowledge without depth, it often rings hollow to those steeped in this culture. The spending habits of old money are subtle and strategic. They often invest in heirlooms, art, and properties that have a story and a legacy. Their choices are driven by value, heritage, and longevity rather than the immediate gratification of flashy items. For instance, an old money individual might prefer a classic vintage watch over a brand new trendy one. It's this preference for items with a story and a past that often differentiates them from the fake rich, who tend to gravitate towards the latest and most expensive items as a means of displaying wealth. The social networks of old money are intricate and deeply rooted. These are not merely friendships formed over shared interests, but bonds forged over generations. The gatherings are often understated, focusing on long-standing traditions and shared experiences rather than extravagant displays of wealth. New money individuals attempting to break into these circles often find it challenging as their approach can seem too eager or transactional, in contrast to the effortless camaraderie that comes with years of shared history. Education for old money goes beyond acquiring knowledge. It's about continuing a legacy. They often attend schools that have been the alma mater of their family for generations. These institutions are not just about learning, but are breeding grounds for future leaders, where connections are as important as education. Similarly, their careers are often in fields where they can continue their family's legacy, be it in business, law, or philanthropy. This seamless continuation of a professional legacy is often missing in those who are fake rich, who might switch careers or lack the depth of professional lineage. The lifestyle of the old money elite is defined by quiet sophistication. Their homes are often heritage properties filled with stories and memories rather than just expensive decor. They prefer vacations that are about relaxation and discretion, often in places that have a family history. Their approach to philanthropy is also telling. It's less about public recognition and more about making a meaningful, often anonymous impact. This contrasts with the fake rich, who may prefer more public and glamorous expressions of wealth. The way old money individuals carry themselves speaks volumes. Their communication style is often subdued yet confident, exuding an effortless grace that is both refined and commanding. They do not feel the need to boast about their wealth or achievements because, in their world, status is something that is understood rather than declared. Their interactions are marked by a quiet poise, an unspoken confidence that comes from generations of wealth and privilege. Unlike those who feel compelled to prove their status through ostentatious displays, old money individuals understand that true sophistication lies in restraint, subtlety, and an unwavering sense of self-assurance. They have an inherent understanding of the nuances of high society, from knowing how to navigate a formal dinner with impeccable manners to engaging in conversation about diverse topics with ease. Their upbringing has provided them with a broad education, not just in academics but also in culture, etiquette, and social grace. They are comfortable discussing literature, history, art, and philosophy, as these subjects have been woven into the fabric of their lives from an early age. This ability to converse with depth and sophistication sets them apart, as it is not something that can be learned overnight, but rather cultivated over a lifetime of exposure to the finest education and intellectual circles. This natural demeanor is hard to mimic, and it often becomes apparent when someone tries too hard to fit into their world. Those who are merely projecting an image of wealth without the underlying substance may attempt to adopt the external markers of old money, dressing in classic styles, learning the right phrases to use, or attending elite events, but they often fall short in their execution. There is a stark difference between those who have been raised in an environment of refinement and those who are attempting to assimilate into it. The subtle cues, the unspoken rules, and the effortless charm of old money individuals cannot be easily replicated, making it obvious to those within these circles when someone is an outsider. Being part of the old money elite isn't just about the wealth you have, it's about how you've been brought up with it. Wealth, in their world, is not something to be flaunted or used as a tool for validation. It is simply a part of their existence, seamlessly integrated into their lifestyle and values. They have been raised with a deep appreciation for heritage, tradition, and discretion. Money is not seen as a means to seek attention or approval, but rather as a responsibility, something to be preserved, nurtured, and passed down to future generations. This ingrained perspective shapes the way they approach every aspect of life, from their spending habits to their personal relationships. It is a world rich in traditions, values, and unwritten rules that have been passed down through generations. These families take great pride in maintaining their legacy, ensuring that their children are instilled with the same sense of duty. As the landscape of wealth continues to evolve, these traditions become even more pronounced. In an era where social media and instant gratification encourage conspicuous consumption, the understated elegance of old money stands in stark contrast to the flashy displays of the nouveau riche. While new wealth often seeks validation through designer labels, extravagant parties, and publicized generosity, old money remains rooted in its timeless principles of discretion, legacy, and refinement. This distinction makes it easy for the old money elite to distinguish those who truly belong from those who are merely putting on an act. The difference is not just in what they own or how they dress, it is in the way they carry themselves, the depth of their knowledge, the authenticity of their social connections, and the quiet confidence that can only come from generations of wealth and privilege. In the end, being a part of the old money world is not something that can be bought or imitated. It is something that is inherited, cultivated, and deeply ingrained in one's identity. It is a way of life that values legacy over trends, substance over show, and quiet sophistication over loud extravagance. These families maintain a sense of continuity and understated grace that becomes a natural part of who they are. Their world is built on a foundation of time-honored values that have stood the test of time, ensuring that their influence and prestige endure for generations to come. Thank you so much for watching this video, and see you next time.